Hello, this is the Minneapolis LIVIN podcast. I am Luke, the apartment guy.
And today we're actually Zach Squared. I'm Zach.
And I am also Zach.
Yeah, I thought the Zach Squared thing would be a funny thing.
Yeah, we nailed it.
So today we brought in Zach from Basecamp. Zach, it's Beezy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Zach Beezy from Basecamp, and we just wanted to, because it's a part of the North Loop neighborhood, a part of Minneapolis, we wanted to bring you in to have a chat and, learn about you, learn about Basecamp, and just kind of meet somebody in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Okay, so this is my first ever podcast, so hopefully I nail it.
Great.
Might be my last podcast.
Yeah, you're already doing better. You're doing better than me. That's the.
I don't know about that, but thanks for having me. I appreciate it, you guys.
You bet.
Well, and to give some context, our goal for this podcast is to talk about fitness. So we just looked for the most jacked, healthy, person in North Loop. Ironically, Zach was doing like sumo squat lunges down, I forget what street is that, Washington, and we just pulled him in today. So that's how we found Zach.
Yeah, that's right.
But Zach, what's your fitness journey? How'd you end up at Basecamp? What's that look like?
So it started, actually, if you want to go in a deep dive, like it started about 15, 16, maybe close to 20 years. I lose track now, the time kind of fuses together, but I remember I went home for Christmas and my mom was just like, my mom has no filter. And when you take my classes, you'll understand why I am the way I am. It's because my mom, right? Just no filter. And she was like, wow, Zach, you're fat now. And that's what she said.
This was like 20 years ago, you said?
Yeah, somewhere between 15 and 20 years. I went home for Christmas and she's like, Zach, you're fat now. And I was like, I did one of these and I rethought everything. So
this is right before Christmas cookies and dinner and all that.
So try enjoying that.
Oh man, that would destroy me.
Yeah. So and she didn't mean to be mean about it. She's just very forthcoming. So that was Christmas, and then by that New Year's, I joined a gym, and that was it. I got hooked ever since then.
So you weren't really working out at all before that?
Nothing. No, just drinking beer, eating whatever I wanted.
Did you play sports when you were growing up at all?
Track in high school because I wasn't coordinated enough to do the stuff I wanted to do, like football and basketball.
Sure.
So track is just running a quarter mile as fast as you can. It's hard to get that wrong.
Wow.
So besides that, nothing.
Yeah, man. I guess I just assumed that you grew up just working out your whole entire life.
No.
So your mom's saying, "Hey, you're getting chubby." You're like, "I need to change my lifestyle completely."
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So you started working out then, and then you're from here.
From Hibbing originally, moved to the Twin Cities when I was about 20.
Gotcha. Okay.
And when you first started your fitness journey, how did that look like? Was it just I'm going to the YMCA and I'm gonna jump on a treadmill, or how did you start? Where did you find lifts? Where did you find out that you're not supposed to eat frozen pizza every night? How did the journey start? I guess.
Yeah, so actually that came later, and I wish I had learned that sooner. It's one of the common misconceptions that as a trainer I hear a lot is I work out now so I can eat whatever I want. So that I actually learned later, probably in my 30s. But when I was in my 20s, I just hit up one of those big box gyms. It was either Lifetime or LA, I don't even remember, it was so long ago. Just started on your own, you kind of don't know what you're doing on your own, and then a buddy would come with me, we would kind of research stuff online, work out together. The buddy system is why I highly recommend that. You guys work out together, keep yourselves honest. I see you guys all the time, which is awesome because if you don't feel like working out, Zach does. If Zach doesn't feel like it, Luke does. So the one of you two is going to get the other one in the gym, which is
make the other one feel really guilty.
Yeah. That's the whole point. Guilt is very powerful, right? Yep. So so I started in my 20s, and then slowly, you research on your own, and then I didn't get certified until about 5 years ago. So, yeah.
And when you went from, just gym with a buddy, you obviously got into coaching. When did you realize that, hey, this is my mom calling me fat to a job? How did it become the career?
What were you doing before that?
Let's see. Well, a little bit of everything, I suppose. When I was going to school, I was, went to school for psychology, had some sales jobs, worked in insurance for a little bit. I didn't really join the fitness industry until 5 years ago, but worked mostly in sales, things like that. But people would friends, family members, acquaintances would solicit me for advice and workout programs. And then I'm just like, man, I enjoy doing it, but why don't I do this for a job?
Yeah,
and I'm glad I did that. So I got certified and started coaching at Orange Theory, and then transitioned to Basecamp, and I love it there. It's awesome.
Cool.
And coming from someone who's never stepped into Orange Theory, what does that workout look like? Like, why did you start there? Was it a certain draw? The workout was good, or what made you start at Orange Theory, I guess?
Sure. That's actually interesting. It's funny. I think I just put my resume out a lot, and I think to different box gyms, and then I would just research, and OTF took me in and took a lot of classes before getting on the mic, because training a one-on-one, you guys would feel comfortable doing that. It's just you get in your own element, but when you have a microphone and you have to be in front of anywhere from 10 to 30 people, that's something else. So that takes a little bit of practice in itself, commanding a room, something like that. So OTF, I was just kind of drawn to it just because of the group dynamic. I think working out as a group is more fun. So that's basically how I got into that. I think it's more of like, if you got the personality and you have a good knowledge of body mechanics, the rest of it is just kind of comes naturally.
And there's so for these group fitness classes, there's a bunch of different styles. OTF, I've done it once, and it's row machine, treadmill, and floor workouts, correct? But the big thing there is it's called Orange Theory because you want to get in that orange spot, your heart rate in that orange spot. Could you explain what that means and the benefit of that? Because I know we do that at Basecamp too, and you're always like, we got to get in the red or whatever. So
right.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're talking about heart rate zones, and you're right. We can use that as a guide as Basecamp. It's really helpful, right? Depending on what day we're doing. That's all it is. It's a heart rate zones, right? You're trying to train into get in certain heart rate zones. The idea is if you can train at a certain level, you'll reach what's known as like an afterburn effect. So it's called EPOC, excess or post-oxygen consumption. EPOC, it's one of those acronyms. But basically the idea is we're writing checks our bodies can't cash. That's the best way I can describe it. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. There we go. I had to get that right.
Wow.
I had to get that right, or I wouldn't like myself tomorrow if I got that wrong. So anyways, that's what we do at Basecamp as well, right? We're writing checks our bodies can't cash. We go really hard for that 45 minutes. Your body's actually going to burn more calories even after the workout is done. That's why it's so efficient. So when you see those zones, that's what we're doing. We're getting at certain heart rate zones to elicit that effect, that afterburn effect, that burning calories even after we're done. That's why you can shred so many calories so efficiently in 45 minutes versus I'll never tell someone to not go to a big box gym, right? I still do that with my Basecamp workouts. Yeah. But I can do so much more in 45 minutes at Basecamp than I can just putzing around for an hour and a half at LA Fitness, right? They're both good. But if you want, efficiency, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think the draw for me is that it's short. It's like my day, I need to work throughout the day, and at the time of my life when I started doing Basecamp, someone just sent me a little message on Instagram, hey, come and check this place out. I was like, okay. It was at a time where I was in the same boat. Someone else said hey, you're looking a little big in that shirt. And I was
wow.
I've worked out my whole entire life, so to hear that, I was like, what? No.
That ain't fair.
You guys got to get more hoodies and sweaters. I've never been called that. I start wearing more layers.
For real.
Goodness.
But yeah, so that, just the easy, it's a 45-minute workout, and being able to just get it done, that's the beginning of your day, and then the rest of the day, you already know you worked out. It feels great. Yep. So that's the draw for me. But in terms of food, I've heard you talk about after we're done working out, you said grab food at this time or whatever. What's the healthiest way to eat? Because I personally, that's my issue right now. I still don't eat very healthy.
That's true. He doesn't.
I do eat frozen pizzas. I just work out. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I got some good things that are simple because my brain works in simple ways, right? So I can pass along information. Anyone that's listening or watching, some super simple stuff. It's so simple that when you hear it, you'll be like, I already knew this. But the fact is that you have to apply it, right? So when it comes to eating, without getting too deep into the weeds, eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're not. And I know that sounds super simple, but how many of us eat when we're bored, right? I'm a sucker for that. It'll be 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, well, I ain't tired yet and I'm not hungry, but I'm still going to eat. And it's I catch myself doing that. Don't drink your calories, right? If it's not water, black coffee, green tea, you know, fruit juices, stay away from that. Pop, stay away from that. I do sparkling water to kind of get those the fizzy cravings.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you learn to like that stuff, it's going to help you long term. And with fruit juice, because most people would be like, well, orange juice is good for you. It's like, well, if you think about it, like a glass of orange juice, it's going to take 8 oranges to get 1 glass of orange juice. No one's going to sit down and eat 8 oranges in a row, right? So I'm going to tell people, eat all the fruit you want, right? Like if you're going to want to sit down and eat an orange or 2, cool. If you think of it in terms of that, you're never going to sit down and eat 8 oranges, right? But that's what a glass of orange juice is. I never did the math. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's too many, right?
Yeah.
So eat an orange, but don't drink a glass of orange juice, if that makes sense. Things like that. Things that help me when I'm trying to lean out a little bit is time restricted eating. And as a trainer, I'm not supposed to prescribe to you meal plans. I can't track your macros for you or like give you a design plan. That's what you need a dietitian for.
Right.
But time restricted eating or intermittent fasting, that's not a diet. That is eating in certain windows where your body can dip into fat reserves. So that's another thing that I highly recommend. Also, like when you guys hear me after class and I'm always saying like, you know, you can't out train a bad diet. I tell people stick to the 85-15 rule, right? 85% of the time, be on your best behavior. But 15, get your frozen pizza.
I like that you brought that up because I feel like, and this is something I'm not a trainer, I don't do all that, but something I've learned is in fitness, I feel like a lot of people do this, right? So I'm eating pizza at night, I'm going out, but I'm at the gym, and then nothing happens. And then at the other spectrum, they're like, all I eat is chicken and rice, and I hate my life, and I work out.
Yes.
And I feel like, in my experience, where I find that my body feels the best, right? Like I wake up with energy, I can do 50 burpees without dying when you yell at me. Is when I, do the chicken and rice, but then I have a pizza on a Friday night, and you know what I mean? You have that balance. So I guess in your experience, how do you find that people find the balance? Because you've obviously found it, right? A lot of the other people at Basecamp, other workout classes, they find the balance. So is that just being around other people who already have those habits, or how do you think those traits start?
That's actually a great question because going back to the buddy system, I mean, like you said, like having a good support system is great. So like you two like get each other in the gym all the time, right? So the same thing can work with the diet. So like people at home, like their partners, the best way, like when I talk to clients and they ask me, it's just like, hey, can you get your partner on board with this? Because it's going to be a lot easier if your partner, husband, wife, whoever, boyfriend, girlfriend is not buying Doritos to bring home and they're not in the cabinet. So yes, that is true. But again, just sticking to the 85-15 because I remember reading an interview with Jason Statham, the actor, super jacked, right? And I remember reading an interview with him. He's just like, yeah, for dessert, sometimes as a cheat meal, I'll have a bowl of fruit. And I'm like, get out of here, dude. Like, come on, man. Like, you're getting paid like $10 million a pop. Like, we're not getting paid $10 million.
Right.
If you were paying me $10 mil, I'll do whatever diet you want, right?
Right. I'd be Liver King for $10 million.
Right. Well, not me, but like, I'd be Tofu King for So I'd be tofu and rice like every meal if I know I'm getting $10 million for a movie. But that's not reality. So you got to have stuff to look forward to. Right. So consistency takes time. And I've heard different numbers, different date ranges. Like you can form a habit in 30 days or 60 days. I've heard a different number each time. But the fact of the matter is once you get to a certain threshold, it starts to become ingrained in you, just like working out. Yeah. If you guys missed a week of working out, you'd be like, all right, I feel guilty. I got to get back in, right? You can do the same thing with your diet. Coming up with rules helps me. My thing is, well, I have a lot of things. Sugar, salty treats, and craft beer. Because craft beer, man, if it's in my fridge, I am going to drink it. I don't care what day of the week it is, so I don't buy it. Out of sight, out of mind. So my rule I've made for myself is I can have drinks 1 day a week. If I want craft beer, it's 1 day a week. I got to pick what day it is.
Right.
I don't buy salty snacks. If I buy chips, I'll eat them. So I just don't buy them. Yeah. But maybe I'll get them if I go to Pancheros to have a burrito, I'll get chips and guac, and that'll be my chips. But I just won't keep them in the apartment. So if coming up with rules helps you, then I highly recommend it. That's what I do. That's what helps me stick to that 85-15.
Sure.
Totally. So we talked nutrition, we talked fitness journey, we talked Orange Theory, Basecamp a little bit.
So yeah, one thing I would want to, Basecamp specifically, we talked about how Orange Theory works in terms of how that workout works. Basecamp, we haven't really touched on that. If someone hasn't been to Basecamp, it's a minute on the bike typically, and then a minute on the floor, and you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Is there a reason for that, or actually my big question is, you pick the workout afterwards, the core workout, or is that something that's already designed, or is that specifically to you?
That is specifically to us.
Because I've noticed that every time you're the coach, it's a lot harder than some of the other ones.
We're not going to say other
And I'm
coaches'
just
names.
like, yeah.
Oh, you can say him. You can call him out. You can call him out.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like, all right, well, do we have an excuse to leave early?
Right.
But you never do.
Yeah, no, we stay there. But yeah, so like that's in terms of the other workouts. I know there's like boxing gyms, there's kickboxing gyms, there's ones with just treadmills and working out. We did one called Flight.
Yeah, the Flight.
Where it was the stair steppers. That's a new gym.
St. Louis Park, right by Costco.
Yeah. Is there outside of Basecamp, because we don't want to Basecamp's where we go. It's great. Is there like a different type of workout group fitness class that you prefer that's not Basecamp, like specifically, I'm most interested in this one?
That's a good question. No, the answer is no. I mean, I love Basecamp, and I'm like, they're not paying me to say this. I just genuinely love Basecamp.
Sure.
That's why I've been there for as long as I have. It's an awesome workout. Now, in terms of, I will never tell someone to not go anywhere. Like, find what works for you, whether it's OTF or Flight or F45, whatever these other ones are. If you find what gets you moving, then I'm going to tell you to do it. As a trainer, that's like my thing. I'm happy when people are healthy. Basecamp, you're right. So it's basically interval style training with the assault bike. So that's like, if people aren't familiar, that's when you use the upper and lower body. So it's not just lower body cycling.
Some of this action.
Yep. Very difficult, very good, very low impact. So I love running, but my knees don't. And a lot of people, when you're in your 20s, you're invincible. Yeah. When you start to get to my age, you have to start being more careful. The assault bike's a great way to get an awesome, super difficult workout in without, any impact on your knees, your ankles, your joints, right? And you're still going to elicit the same, like, all outs, the pushes, whatever. So that's what it is. And you were right. So there's minute intervals, 90-second intervals, 40-second intervals. Those are my favorite. Those are more power. We have strength, balance, speed, endurance. Today was a lot of speed work with you guys. You did a lot of agility today. And there's methods to the madness. But all of them are good, man. I'm never going to throw anyone under the bus.
Yeah.
If you're moving, that's cool with me. I'm just happy when people tell me go here. I'm like, that's cool. Just keep showing up. Yeah.
And I guess one question I have, so for everyone listening that wants to work out with Luke and I, and also, meet you, what could they expect on their first day at Basecamp? Because I was obviously blessed. Luke was already going, so I just literally every 2 minutes I'd look at him, see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But for the person who doesn't have the buddy yet, and they just want to check it out, what can they expect? Like, what do you guys do to make people feel not as nervous? Because I know even me, I'll work out. I go to a gym I don't know or a class I don't know. I'm instantly sweating bullets. I don't want to say anything because I'm nervous.
Sure.
What do you guys do to make sure that people aren't, scared? They can go there, feel like they're not being judged, and get a good sweat on.
Yeah, that's a great, man, you guys have great questions. I would have guessed you've been hosting podcasts for years. I'm like.
It's only year 23. Just kidding.
You're like 29 years old. That's a great question. So when you come in, we usually have people come in about 15 minutes early so we can get them acquainted with the studio. But we have such you guys know the community. It's very tight knit. Once you're in, you're kind of in, right? A lot of people make friends through Basecamp. I consider you guys friends. You got me to jump in a frozen lake. That is something I've never done. No one's ever talked me into that. So I consider you guys friends and got me out of my comfort zone. People make friends very easily there. It's interval style training. So we kind of some people are going to feel right at home, right? It's going to turn on a light switch for them. And then for others, some people haven't worked out in 10 years. They've never done a group class. We're with them the whole way, right? And we'll usually pair someone who maybe feels a less experienced. We'll pair them with someone else who has a ton of experience. That's like Evan.
Yeah.
We'll pair them with someone who is a seasoned veteran or another coach that takes class. That's the other thing. Our staff, our coaches and front of house, they love taking classes. It's a big community. And the other thing is it welcomes all fitness levels. So we get there's been like D1 athletes that do it. There's people who just showed up that haven't worked out in 10 years. And hockey players, yeah. At the Edina location, Basecamp, they get like some wild players in sometimes.
Yeah. So if you want autographs, go to the Edina one.
Right.
If you want Luke and I to autograph, go to North Loop.
And I don't recognize them because, like, I mean, I like hockey, but like, if you told them,
stuff on,
I mean, I wouldn't know who they were. Like, if they were a Viking, on the other hand, I'd be like, So it's cool, man. But we get everyone in between, so like, you don't have to be intimidated. Like, if you feel like you've been out of the game for a long time, just show up. Like, come to base camp. We'll take care of you. No one starts off good at this stuff, right? No one starts off amazing in their fitness journey. You work. It's incremental. Progress is not linear. Nothing in life is. Very few things are. And there's bumps and setbacks, but like, you just keep showing up.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you better, and you become just more comfortable in your skin. You're more comfortable, whether it's base camp, whether it's wherever else. But we'll take care of you. Every fitness level is there. It's not just expert level or advanced level. It's advanced, it's intermediate, it's beginner.
Yeah.
And we got modifications for everybody. Whatever, if you have setbacks, injuries, whatever, we work through them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool to see people who are new to it and cheering them on. And
yes.
Yeah, and with different weights. I mean, you got some new weights for us because we need those heavier, because we're so jacked. We need those heavier.
You guys
weights.
are so jacked. I ordered them just for you.
Thank you.
I let everyone else use them, but I'm like, these are Zach and Luke's weights.
Yeah.
So
to touch on that community aspect and you jumping in the lake, that was a big moment for you because you almost didn't do it with us. Luckily, some of the other trainers were like, "Hey, let's do this," and you're like, "All right, fine, I have to do it."
Yeah.
But
I get pretty bad FOMO.
Yeah, that was a fun experience having you guys come and experience that cold water.
So I'll tell you what happened. The reason why, because I told you guys I need to like mentally prepare for it. I'm like, give me several weeks and then I'll do it. And you're like, well, it's spring is coming. We can't do this forever.
The more you think about it, the harder it becomes.
Yes.
Just do it.
So there was something that Zach said to me, and he's like, man, you always tell people to get out of their comfort zone, right? Look, pick up a heavier weight, try this different move. You won't know until you try. And he's like, how are you going to tell that to people, but you won't get out of your own comfort zone with us? And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, all right, sign me up. I'll come this Sunday. I was like, that'd be so unfair for me to tell people like, hey, do this thing that makes you uncomfortable. But then I'm here like, I don't want to do it. I'm uncomfortable. Right. So next thing I know, I'm in a frozen lake 2 days later.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Amazing.
It was fun.
Amazing.
I mean, I was like, that was something else, man. That was a really cool
But you feel
experience.
great after, right? All that
I felt
endorphin
terrific.
Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so where is your favorite place to go in the city? Restaurant, whatever.
Okay, so easy answer is any brewery, probably Indeed for craft beer. Okay. I love Indeed. LSD, if you guys haven't tried LSD, the personal trainer talking about which beer to drink. Oh, no. And then favorite cheat meal would be Francis Burger Joint. Only for a cheap meal. Like, this is not something you can do all the time. But, man, you can have like a quad stacked burger, like if you're either celebrating something or you just had the worst day of your life, but nothing in between. You will not respect yourself the next day if you eat this stuff, but it's super good.
And you said this is plant-based.
Yes.
So a big greasy plant-based burger is
like
a cheat
this
meal.
high. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
and where is
loaded
this?
fries.
Where is it located?
Francis Burger Joint, I believe, is the name. I only went once.
Do you know where?
Awesome. It is in, I want to say uptown-ish.
Okay.
I've only been there once.
Okay.
But
all right. It was that good?
If you need a cheap meal, hit it. It is awesome.
Francis.
Yes. Only once in a while. Trust, I cannot stress this enough.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for the tip. All right. Well, anything else to say, fellas?
No, I mean, Zach, thanks for stopping in.
Yes.
Everyone listening, if you ever want to, do burpees for fun, talk about craft beers, Zach's your guy. But thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you very much. This is Minneapolis Living Podcast. We will see you later.